and that's done. 8 years ceramic coating, what? No. No, it can't be that easy.
Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details, and today we're going to be applying one of the hottest ceramic coatings on the market to date. But first, we need to get this paint prepped. We've already done a wash, decontamination, and now we are in the middle of our paint correction step. This is a little bit of the before and after where we're kind of landing. The customer's not looking for paint perfection. His biggest issue is that when he looks at his paint, it doesn't have a clear reflection. He said it's almost hazy. Well, that's because the automatic car wash brushes have induced so many scratches on the paint that it's actually kind of dulled the reflection. So due to the severity of damage on this paint and the fact that this Hyundai paint, it's a little bit on the harder side, but it's also being a little finicky. What does that mean? Well, when you have harder paint, that means you have to use more aggressive measures to correct it. But when it's finicky, sometimes it doesn't want to finish down properly. You might have micro marring or a haze left behind. So we're going to use Detail Addicts, their diamond hybrid compound, to cut through the defects very quickly, leave that residue on the paint. We're not going to wipe it off. And then we're going to follow up with a yellow foam pad from Rupes and the fabulous finishing polish from Phoenix EOD. This will finish down a little bit better, remove any sort of ticks or micro marring that we might have induced on the paint during our correction step. Then we'll come in with our rinseless wash, wipe off all of our residue. That's how we've been able to get the level of correction that we've been able to get on this paint. We're not necessarily chasing paint perfection or removing all the defects, but it's giving us that clarity that we really need. We do have a little bit of polish residue on this trim. We're going to use our wax remover for plastic from McKee's 37. For those of you that maybe you struggle with getting polish residue on trim and you don't want to always have to tape off, that's a little secret weapon that I've always liked to use. And then we're going to use our panel prep wipe to remove all of our polish so you guys can see that this is true correction, no fillers, and this is just going to help us prep for our ceramic coating.
Customer actually had purchased a dealership ceramic coating and he wasn't very happy with what they had put on there. He said it took about 20 minutes for them to apply it. I'm pretty sure that while it had been on the dealership lot, they had taken it through the automatic car wash because there was an insane amount of swirls on this brand new vehicle. He did say that he's also used the automatic car wash, so I'm not sure if it was before or after. Regardless, there was something on there when I washed the vehicle. When I did my wash, chemical decon, and clay towel treatment though, however, it started to break down. It was like microfracturing. I could see lines all over the coating. The hydrophobics had greatly reduced even after doing a clay towel treatment. So whatever they had put on there wasn't super durable. They also didn't do proper prep. The paint was pretty badly swirled before they put on it or after. But regardless, the customer wants me to polish the vehicle, which we've already done. After doing our decon and our wash, we did a 1.5 step correction to get us to about 75% to 90% correction. Black paint, it's probably going to go through the automatic car wash. We're not going to stress over paint perfection. More than anything, we've removed the previous coating, finished down with clarity. Now the customer hopefully is going to be happy with the condition of the paint. And then we're also going to put something a little bit more durable on there than he had at the dealership. Now the coating that we're actually going to be working with today, this is the first time that I've worked with it. So we're going to share with you guys my initial reaction to working with this ceramic coating for the first time. If you are new to YouTube or maybe just to the planet Earth, you've probably never heard of this brand right here. This is Clean from Pan the Organizer. Everything that I've worked with so far has been very impressive. His ceramic sealant is very easy to work with. Panel prep, very effective. His shampoo, I really enjoy the smell of it. Nice lubrication. What I have worked with has been very impressive. Not a fan of his tire dressing. I don't like solvent ones, but that's just my own personal preference. His ceramic coatings, however, I am very excited to demonstrate for you guys. Number one, we have a black vehicle. This is going to be a great opportunity for me to visually show how this coating goes being applied, but we're also going to be seeing this vehicle in the future. So for those that want to know in the real world, can this ceramic coating hold up to some of the hype? Make sure you subscribe and follow, because as we see this vehicle, we'll share with you guys updates on how it's performing. Prep is key. Maintenance is key with getting the most out of your ceramic coating. So just to preface, we've done a wash, chemical decon, clay towel treatment. We did a polish. We've also done a panel prep wipe. Now we're going to go ahead and get our ceramic coating applied. I'm really excited. Hopefully you guys will be as well. Let's go ahead and get started. So within our package, we have a 30 milliliter size bottle. You can see it's frosted, so I can see the level of ceramic coating in the bottle. Some manufacturers will put them in a black or amber bottle to help slow down the cure time in the bottle. I don't really care about that. Normally I'm using a coating fast enough that I just need to see how much I have to work with. So I actually prefer it in a clear or frosted bottle like this. He also provides a applicator, and it does have a little bit of a louder noise, kind of like a diaper, but it fits in your hand very nicely. It works really well. It's a little bit different than some of the auto fiber saver applicators that I use, but I like the size of it. My only concern is I don't want to scratch the paint with our stitches on the side. So just hold it, make sure you don't kind of take these up against the paint. And then he has detailed instructions introducing himself to the user, as well as instructions on how to decontaminate, polish, the panel prep wipe, all essential steps for prep. And then he goes over instructions for applying the ceramic coating. We have a 1 to 2 minute flash time with this, so you're not going to be able to coat half a vehicle, but maybe 1 or 2 panels at a time. So we're going to stick within that 1 to 2 minute range because we're about 65, 68 degrees in the garage right now, lower humidity. So kind of that sweet spot. One thing that I do appreciate that he includes with this is a little bit more technical data. A lot of companies don't provide this. You have to search for it on their websites. Vehicle can be exposed to rain after 1 hour dry period. That is fantastic. For me as a detailer, I want to be able to get my customers their vehicle back faster. Even if you're doing this yourself, you don't want to have to time your schedule where you're down without a vehicle. Most ceramic coating companies, I think, should develop their products to get to this point, because when you have a 12-hour, 24-hour cure time, they're almost going to not be able to compete with coatings like this. So I feel like this should become a new standard within the detailing industry. Avoid exposing the coated vehicle to freezing temperatures for extended periods in the first 12 hours. No caustic chemicals for the first 7 days. So we can see we have a pH neutral resistance after 12 hours. Should you get a bird bomb, as long as you kind of use something that is pH neutral, you should be fine. And then after 7 days, we're very typical full chemical cure. This actually right here is very impressive. pH resistance of 1 to 14. Most ceramic coatings are going to be 2 to 13-ish. Your automatic car wash soaps are going to range from pH of 13 to 14. So this says to me it's going to be able to withstand the soaps and the detergents that some people are using to maintain their vehicle with. Optimal application temp, 50 to 86 degrees. This is not sun-friendly. Pan does not recommend applying this outdoors. Ideally, you want to have lower humidity or kind of below that 60% humidity when applying this. 50 is going to be kind of ideal. Dry and cure times based on standard room temperature, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And then storage. After opening, store any remaining ceramic coating at 23 degrees Fahrenheit or below. So once this is opened, just go ahead and store that in your refrigerator. So we're going to go ahead, get it applied, but there's just kind of a quick rundown of what he provides. I think great value, great information. So Pan, I do think you thought all of that out really well. Let's go ahead and get her applied. So we are going to start off right here and give it a little bit of a mix. There's hardly any odor to that. It's actually very low odor. And it is a very thick coating coming out. You can see it's just like in slow motion dripping onto the applicator. We're going to prime it really good that first time. We don't need to go this heavy after we have our applicator primed. In between applications, just go ahead and put your lid on so that way the coating doesn't start to set up. And I really hope that this is user-friendly, because we've got a big vehicle that we have to coat. And as much as I thought I went super heavy with this, I can see it doesn't go on like a very wet look. It looks like it wants to dry up pretty quickly. We have a 1 to 2 minute flash time. We're at about 30 seconds now. It is 64 degrees in the garage with about 68% humidity. So a little bit on the higher humidity, but I can see that it looks like majority of it has flashed off. And we're at 45 seconds now. I'm going to go ahead and grab my towels. Some new towels from Thor. And then a plush microfiber if we need it for our final touch. We've got our white one for our first touch and our gray one for our second touch. Do we have any tags? No tags. Nice, guys. These actually are really nice pearl towel. And as much as that looked like it had all but evaporated, this is not grabby whatsoever. I don't even know if I need a second towel, just because we're going to go over it very lightly. And that's done. 8 year ceramic coating. What? No. No, it can't be that easy. Let's get our light out and see if we have any sort of high spots, because that can't be that easy, y'all. No, I gotta be doing something wrong. Let's see if we have any streaks. Yeah, I can see some outlines. It definitely enriched the color of the paint. Let me show you up close what that looks like. So I don't know if this shows up on camera. See right there? Kind of that dark streak right around where the light is. That is where we've applied the coating and where we haven't. So it's enriched the paint, but it's not that I'm seeing any sort of high spots, but you can actually see where the coating has and hasn't been applied. We're going to go ahead and do the rest of this panel and see if that gets worked in and evens out as we apply it to the rest of our panel. There's something a little bit disturbing about the sound of the applicator. It just reminds me of when my kids were toddlers and doing potty training. It's making me laugh. Since we have a 1 to 2 minute flash time with this, we're going to go ahead and do the rest of this panel so that I can kind of see where we started and stopped. You should be able to do a whole panel at a time with this coating. It doesn't go on like super wet, and I'm not going like crazy heavy. Some people think, you know, the heavier you go with a ceramic coating, the better it will be. Ivan has taught me that you just got to get the coating on the panel typically for it to bond. Doesn't mean that you got to go so thin that you can't even see it. Just got to find that sweet spot. But I can see when we do our up and down, side to side, that second time going over it with our crosshatch, it's definitely thinning it out a little bit. You can see how it looks like it's evaporated a little bit more. So this was the first area that we applied, second and third. As we are putting more on the applicator, you can see it's getting a little bit more saturated. See, we've evenly applied it. We're going to go ahead and grab our towels and start leveling this section, then that, then that. We're going to do a little semicircle action just to see if maybe that helps massage this in a little bit better. And we're going to go over this first section one more time just to make sure that we don't have any residual coating that we didn't level. It's nothing worse than being a little bit too tender with your ceramic coating when you're leveling, and then you pull it out into the daylight, or you get a correction light on it and you see some streaks that they're not necessarily showing up like a high spot, but it's definitely a streak because we didn't level it enough. So we're going to do semicircles for that first touch. I think that just helps us massage that transfer solution and coating in a little bit more. As easy as it feels, you don't have to go crazy hard. You don't have to go hard. But you definitely don't want to just, do this. That's not going to work. So don't be afraid. Put a little bit of pressure down. You just want to make sure you have the right towels for the job. If you have crappy towels and you do this, you're probably going to scratch the paint. These are brand new towels and they're actually fantastic on the paint. So now that we are done leveling, what we're gonna do, we've got our Korean plush. This is just, we're gonna go around the perimeter beyond to make sure we have no high spots. And this is just for efficacy's sake. We're gonna do around our perimeter again. Those are the areas where high spots will be prone to show up. And we're done. That right there couldn't be easier for an 8-year ceramic coating. I would expect that with a 2 to 3 year ceramic coating, maybe even a 12-month ceramic coating. You don't expect it to be that easy with an 8-year ceramic coating. But Pan, you definitely made that very user-friendly. Now, I will say this. We were at about right here when we started, so I'm just gonna kind of keep an eye on how much of this I'm using, because it is thicker. Hopefully, as my pad becomes more saturated with coating, I'm not gonna have to use as much. I just wanna make sure that I have enough in this bottle for this larger SUV. We do have a lot of trim, so we might play the trim by ear. Hopefully we have enough. That's the only thing that I want to see now out of this product. Can one bottle coat an entire vehicle, especially like a mid-size SUV / truck? I don't even know what this, it's a truck, but it's an SUV. Let's go ahead, keep working and see if we have enough.
If you've never applied a ceramic coating before, I always start off on the hood. This allows me to, in a comfortable stance, figure out what the flash time and leveling process is going to look like. And then we'll work our way to the roof, get that taller, cumbersome area out of the way, then move on to the front grille, break that up into smaller sections because getting the coating into those intricate areas is going to take a little longer to remove, and that way you're not letting it sit on there for too long and have to fight the coating. Then we'll work our way to the tailgate trunk area, and we are definitely going to utilize the softbox light, especially in those intricate areas, to make sure we have no high spots or streaking with our ceramic coating.
We did the hood, the roof, the trunk, and the front grille, our most intricate areas, but we have a lot of body left to do. But we're not going to go as heavy on our applicator, so we're not going thick with this. And when you put coatings on thinner, sometimes it can make the removal process a little bit more involved. Sometimes when you put a little bit more, it just makes it easier to remove, but again, sometimes you're wasting product. So we're going to go a little thinner with this. I just want to preface that. But we are getting a little bit low. I don't know, maybe it's just in my, no. Is that like Moses in the oil? Because I feel like that just went up. Did that just go up, y'all? Okay, maybe we can go a little heavier. Strike that, wind it back.
Now, because we do have a little bit higher humidity, I have found that the sweet spot with this coating is applying and leveling panel by panel. But what would happen if you want to work a little bit further? Maybe you think, I'm going to move really fast and I want to apply it to maybe 2 or 3 panels and see if I can get faster and work my way around this vehicle. What would happen? Well, I'm going to demonstrate for you guys what to do in this situation if you have worked this coating too far or let it sit on the panel too long. Let me troubleshoot for you.
All right, so I pushed this to the limits to see what would happen if we went too far, because I'm gonna show you what happens so that you don't have to do it. I did 3 panels. I was working fast, but it probably sat on there for about 3 minutes. And when we bring in our light, you can see we have some streaks from uneven removal. I just did a quick wipe, but if you were to think, oh, I got it all, look at it this way, I don't see a ton. When we bring in that light, that's when you can see that we need to level it further. And I am going thinner with this just so that I don't run out, because we've used about half of the bottle now and we have the other side to go, but a lot of trim still left to do. Having this light definitely helps, but I can see right there still we have a spot that we need to level. So for those that want to take away the stress of high spots with ceramic coatings, I do recommend getting a light setup like this. It's not expensive whatsoever. I think it's like $60 for a set of 2. And it's just a great way to inspect. Obviously sunlight is the best way, But if you're working in the winter on a cold day, maybe it's cloudy, you don't have appropriate lighting, or maybe it's raining or snowy and you can't get out, I can still see that we need to do a little bit more leveling from going thin with this. So 2 things that I want to pass on: don't work too far. We need to probably shorten how long we let it sit on there. So 1 panel at a time is probably the sweet spot. Don't bite off more than you can chew just because it looks like, oh, that's super easy, let's go for it. Stick with that 1 panel, no more than 2 at a time if you're working fast. The thinner you go, the more likelihood that you're gonna have maybe some streaks like this. So if you're like me and you're stretching a coating on a larger size vehicle, just make sure you have proper lighting to inspect, so that way we can make sure that we don't have any sort of streaks or high spots.
There's always a learning curve when working with ceramic coatings, especially for the first time. And it's important as a detailer to learn to be flexible and adapt, because those nuances that you learn about the coating could change from vehicle to vehicle based on the environment, the climate, and even the paint that you're working on.
So I had to step inside real quick, and I was nervous that I was going to not be able to tell where I had stopped, but you can see very clearly on the paint right here. I just move. You can see where we've coated, where we haven't, and on our trim, it's even more easily visible where we stopped and started. I like what this is doing to our trim. This is just giving it a better than new appearance. So yet another thing that I like about this coating. So I was super nervous that we were gonna run out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more sections that we have to coat, and we are a little above halfway. So I could have gone thicker with our application on our pad. I was putting anywhere from 6 to 8 drops each time, and I wasn't putting a dry pad on the panel. I could see that I had some, because even I haven't put anything on, and you can see we've got really good saturation. But the thicker you can apply this when applying it, the easier it's going to be for wipe off. If you go super thin, it's going to be a little bit more elbow grease to level. So you just kind of got to play around with that sweet spot for how much to put on your applicator. But I can tell that the plastic that's within this is really helping to keep as much of that coating on the surface versus getting absorbed into our applicator.
It doesn't look like it is evaporating as quickly as it did on the other panels now that I'm going a little thicker with our application. I can still see very nice rainbowing, but almost a little bit of a hazy look.
If you were to be applying this to a silver, white, or gray colored vehicle, it might be harder to see. And you would definitely want to have some sort of light source like this to make sure you level it evenly enough.
No, even though I did go a little heavier with our application for the remaining of our panels, that didn't necessarily make the leveling process of this coating any easier. By no means would I say that this is a grabby coating, but you do need firm pressure when leveling to make sure you don't have that streaky appearance or an uneven appearance. So nice firm pressure with quality premium microfibers. You don't have to rub aggressively. You're not looking to scratch the paint or really dig into the coating, but just make sure you have nice firm pressure, and definitely inspect with that softbox light to make sure you have a consistent appearance. But this is a very slick coating, especially an hour after it has set up. Very, very impressive.
We're done. There you have it. We're all done.
It took an hour for us to ceramic coat this massive truck, and technically by the time we were all done, our first panels that we coated were ready to go. But we're gonna give this some time to set up before the customer comes to pick it up.
So my initial thoughts after working with our 8-year ceramic coating for the first time. I think there is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to how much product to put on your applicator. It is thicker. You can see that I actually have about a half of a bottle left. I probably could have gone thicker on my applicator. I was just a little bit nervous that I didn't want to run out on a vehicle of this size. I was just being more conservative with how much I used. So if you're in a similar situation, working on a larger vehicle with tons of trim, just make sure that you're being aware of how much you're applying. But obviously, with how much I was putting, which was like 6 to 10 drops on my applicator pad, I probably could have gone heavier and I wouldn't have run out. So that's just some feedback for you guys. I know that the instructions do say apply a liberal amount onto your applicator. That's a little subjective. I'm used to working with thinner coatings that you can just kind of put a steady stream onto your applicator. And so being thicker, it took a little bit more effort to get it out. It was harder to see how much you actually had on the applicator. Just because of the microfiber surface of it. Sometimes I like to use suede ones because you can actually see it a little bit more when you work with like a darker colored suede. You can actually see the liquid on the surface of the applicator. So again, just little things that I would just want to tweak for the next time working with it. I think I will go thicker. I will work shorter sections, only 2 sections at a time. When you go larger than 2 sections, it's going to be a little bit more of an involved leveling process. And obviously, lighting is going to be a huge benefit for those that maybe you're nervous about streakiness. Just make sure you inspect afterwards so that you don't have any sort of streaking. If you are working on a lighter colored vehicle, I do recommend going a little bit heavier because this didn't have like huge cues of rainbowing or sweating. It was rainbowing a little bit, then it looked like it evaporated and a little hazy. If you're working on a lighter color vehicle, that's going to be harder to see. So if you have it thicker, you're going to see more of kind of the density of that coating, the wetness of it. And then obviously having that softbox light to inspect afterwards will be a big benefit to you guys. So we're going to put the link to the coating as well as the softbox light down below, as well as all the products that we use to prep our Santa Cruz. Hopefully you guys enjoyed a little bit more of feedback on my experience. If you guys have questions about this ceramic coating as we work with it, let me know your questions in the comment section down below and we'll hopefully try to answer them. One thing I have appreciated about Pan is that whenever someone does a video review of his products, he is giving them feedback on if their application process was spot on or if maybe they need to make some tweaks to their technique to get a better user experience in the future. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Pan has to say as far as the application, what I could do differently next time, if anything. But for those of you that want to get the most out of these products, make sure you're checking the comment section to see what Pan says as far as what we can make changes in the future. I welcome the feedback. This was my first time using it. I know every time you work with a coating, you're going to learn and get better and faster and more efficient. So if you guys have worked with this coating before and you see, Chelsea, you did that wrong, or maybe if you made this small change, it would be better, let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you to Pan for sending this to me to demonstrate for you guys. This was not a sponsored video by any means, but for those of you that want to try it out for yourself, we're going to put the affiliate links to the products that we use in the video description box down below. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the very end of the video because we're going to show you a quick peek at some of our hydrophobics as well as the finished look tomorrow as we do a quick walk around inspecting for high spots. But there you have it. We're done. It turned out great. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Give us a thumbs up if you did. And let's go ahead and share with you guys what you really are here for. You want to see what it looks like at the end and how insane these hydrophobics are. Those are some pretty tall beads, you guys. I'm not even blowing on it. They're just falling off. He's not kidding when he says water just doesn't want to stick to it. There's nothing blowing on this, you guys. I'm already pretty impressed. I've worked with a ton of ceramic coatings at this point in my career. And out of all the coatings that I've worked with, I don't know why, but this is the one that I'm the most intrigued and the most excited to see what the hydrophobics look like when we do a first maintenance wash. Now, this customer will be bringing his truck in every few months for me to do maintenance washes for him, so make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell off to the side for those of you that want to see what you can expect as far as durability and hydrophobics wise. I know there was a little bit of a learning curve when working with this coating for the first time, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed the tips that I have shared with you guys and it can make your experience that much more enjoyable. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in
in the very next detail.